Hey YouTube, it's JoJo. I'm back to share the rest of my story. Well, actually, not the rest because it's about 6 years long. But I wanted to tell you about my first admission into the hospital after being diagnosed with the brain aneurysm. It was actually 5 months after after I had that immunization and the infection and all that good stuff, and the headaches over that 5 month period became more severe and more frequent, and became overwhelming to the point where I could not work anymore. So my mother couldn't stand seeing me in pain anymore, and she actually forced me to go to the ER. So I went to the ER, and the doctor that actually came to treat me, um, of course, asked about the family history and things of that nature. And we told him about the aneurysms that were in our family history with several family members. And he suggested doing a spinal tap to see if there was any internal bleeding, which I felt was a bit invasive when there could be scans done before we did get all into into that type of procedure. That was pretty scary. I was ready to run, 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 run. Okay. So anyway, we ended up doing an MRI. The MRI showed the aneurysm and a fatty tissue tumor. And I would like to note that when I did present in the hospital, in the ER with the severe headaches, the doctor didn't seem to really take me very serious. I'm not quite sure, but when he did come back in the room with the diagnosis, he looked like he had swallowed his foot, a stinky one. But anyway, after that, I was treated very, very well. Um, let's see. Um, After that, they wanted to admit me into the hospital to be consulted by a neurologist and a neurosurgeon to come up with the treatment plan. So I saw the neurologist who gave me the option, told me about the option of having a clipping, which is having them going into the brain and actually putting in kind of like a barrette on the aneurysm to close it up, and a couple nuts and bolts and the plate, and yeah. And then the coiling procedure, which was the other option, was less invasive. They just went through your groin area, up through an artery up to your brain, and they would put in what looked like kind of like a bed coil, and that would somehow fill the aneurysm so that it cannot rupture. So I was hoping for that procedure. That didn't, in the long run, it did not pan out. But that story, I will be sharing with you all. I would like to say that we all have to be our own advocates. We have to make sure that we look into the procedures and what our best treatments are, and listen to our bodies, and also be a help to the doctor in treating you, because sometimes there's things that can be missed. So anyway, I was then scheduled, after seeing the neurologist, I was scheduled to have an angiogram. And angiogram is, again, a procedure, the same procedure where they go through through your groin area in an artery up to your brain to look at the aneurysm to see, determine the size and the shape, and to determine what type of treatment you will receive. Well, I went through that procedure, and it was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. At that time, I was kind of ignorant, and I was afraid. I was panicked. The hours leading up to the angiogram was crazy, because I was just, first of all, you have to be awake while they do the procedure. you have to follow commands while they do the procedure. So again, they're in your brain with the little wire, and they're shooting dye up there, and they're giving you commands. So, um, of course, my brain is I'm just racking over this. I just can't believe that I'm about to go through this. So I'm just trying to sleep through these hours and whatever. So I get there, and I didn't know, but a resident was actually doing it. And to make a long story short, after the procedure began and the wire was in the brain, they started shooting the dye in there. And I can kind of, it was weird, I could kind of see it behind my eyes. It was like a dark cloud, and then all of a sudden I would see these silver stars start coming and falling. And when the silver stars came about right after, there was this excruciating pressure and pain that was here in my head, right behind my eyes. I felt like my eyeballs were going to catapult out of my head, and so were my teeth. It was horrible. And of course, they have you immobilized, while they're doing the procedure so that you can't move. But the doctor kept telling me that I should actually, I need to stop screaming or moaning or whatever, and that was impossible. And later on down the line, you'll understand why I did not realize that the resident was actually doing the procedure and not the doctor. But anyway, that went on for a couple hours, and that was traumatizing. I have never been the same after. Never. I'm not a doctor. Nobody diagnosed it, but I swear I had a stroke after that. During that procedure, I came out so traumatized that I couldn't even say a word. All I could do was just stare blankly through my mother's eyes, and then all of a sudden, tears just burst out. So it's like something just snapped that day, and I had never been the same. So anyway, I came out of that procedure with the doctor saying that he was confident that he can do the coiling procedure, and I would not have to go through the invasive surgery in the head, and going straight into the skull. And we went ahead and came up with a treatment plan, and I was discharged with pain meds for the headaches, blood pressure medication to keep my blood pressure low, and antidepressants. And I was given the restrictions of not being able to lift more than 5 to 10 pounds, not to bump your head, not to allow your head to go below your heart, must keep your blood pressure down, must keep your stress levels down. Basically, try to do everything that you could to not to induce an aneurysm rupture. How do you do that when you can't work? You don't have your income is not coming in. You're thinking about this ticking time bomb that you have in your head every day. You're thinking about, is this your day? They told me to come straight to the ER if I started to experience neck pain, a headache worse than I've ever experienced, and if I heard a popping noise, which usually when that popping noise goes off, that means your aneurysm is burst. So it's really not much you can do for yourself. So anyway, I lived with that on my mind for 3 years. Well, actually, a little more than 3 years. And so you can just imagine the turmoil that I'd gone through. It was a horrible roller coaster, but again, it was all worth it. Because today I'm a much stronger person, I'm much more knowledgeable, and I know my strength. At this point, nothing can really shake me or rock my world. I was forced to face all of my fears in a very short time, which I consider, at that time I was very angry. It was a lot of why me's, F the world. I was pissed. And I still have my days that I get pissed because I still have headaches every day, and I still can't work. But overall, again, I'm appreciative for the journey because it made me who I am today and put me in the place that I am today. And I'm able to speak to you and not be in a nursing home like my grandmother was for 15 years, or 6 feet under. And my mother have to deal with losing a daughter. So, anyway, I have a few tips for everybody. When I was being admitted into the hospital, they gave me an IV and had to draw blood. And they had to draw blood, poke me at least, I think it was 25 to 27 times because I have very little veins. They're not very close to the surface. So, they finally had an ultrasound nurse come in and find an actual vein on the ultrasound, and it only required one poke, and I was done. So I would suggest to everyone, if the nurse that's seeing you cannot draw your blood, instead of going through all those injections or those pokes, um, request a nurse to come in with a ultrasound to find a vein, just to save you any more time or in pain. And there was also a few of other things that I wanted to discuss with you guys before I go. Let me check here because I do have some deficits. I did end up at the end of this whole journey, I did have a aneurysm clipping. So they went into my brain, which it was here on my in the right frontal lobe area, and they cut from here in the middle down to the ear, and they went in and clipped the coil. So again, it was a life-saving surgery, but there are deficits or things that can come along with it, in which it affected me. And I don't think anybody's brain should be exposed to oxygen or anything like that. That's not normal. And again, I had to go for therapy for cognitive deficits and other things, and those things I will share going on down the line. I also want to let you know that angiogram that was so horrible and painful really did not have to be that way. I did have another angiogram after that, and it was nothing like it. It was the pain and anguish, all that stuff. None of that even existed. It was the most pleasant as it could be. So I don't want to scare anybody, but I am going to tell you the good, bad, and the ugly. So anyway, I also wanted to tell you guys that a nurse came in, a nurse from the psych department came in to let me know that of some things to expect, which was grieving your old self. I would suggest you look up the steps of grieving, and so that you can at least be aware that you're going to go through them, because you still have to go through them, and maybe you can try to find some type of way to deal with it, whether you go see a therapist or speak to someone that you feel confident, you feel that can be a great soundboard and help. I personally have only found 2 therapists that I could somewhat connect with. Outside of this aneurysm, my life has been like a movie. So most of my therapists usually were sitting at the edge of excuse me, my dog is trying to get in the video. But usually my therapist would be pulling up to the edge of the seat, and it would be like a sitcom. So anyway, I would suggest though that you do find some type of support, and let's see, what else did I want to say? Also, I had been in the medical industry doing management, reception, administration, billing, that kind of thing, and I was in the field for over 20 years. And being a person coming from that side of the table and becoming a professional patient and having to deal with the industry from that point of view was completely disappointing for me. I did have, it was not all bad. I did have some great, great healthcare workers, or caretakers, I should say, but I came across um, a lot of opposition and a lot of disappointments. Not everyone belongs in the healthcare field. Um, I don't expect my doctor to be my friend, and I don't expect he and I to necessarily get along, but I do expect good care. But when it comes to the administration and stuff, I think that people need to be a lot kinder, a lot more compassionate, and not so judgmental. Because I'll tell you this, everything that I have ever judged a person for, I have been judged upon. And that is the truth for everyone. So I want you healthcare workers to truly evaluate whether you are in the right position. And I want you to know that within 2 seconds, not even that, a nanosecond, you can be that patient on the other side of the window. You'll be the person coming in with disability papers, and you'll be the person needing meds. You'll be the person needing help with paperwork or getting financial assistance, things of that nature. Do know that things can flip in a second. Remember that. It'll get you far in life. Um, and also remember, everyone, that people on disability are not just stuck in the system. It's not like it's not a life of luxury. You're sitting at home with bonbons and eating and watching the soaps. It's just not. It ain't happening because you never have enough. Even though it is a blessing to have that in place to supplement, but it's no way of life. It's hell, you can't afford the damn bonbons, and you can't afford the cable to watch the doggone soap. So, you know, um, so I've had people tell me, "Oh, I wish that I could get disability and sit at home all day and do nothing." And I tell people, be careful of what you ask for, because I would give anything to go to a 9 to 5 and come home and chill and not be worried about all this BS, and not be trying to reinvent myself, and get to know myself again, and all of those things. Although, again, it was a blessing, because who gets a chance to reinvent themselves? Who gets a chance to really, really look at life from a standpoint where you're really looking at your death, and having to become comfortable with the fact that you may die today. It makes you have to appreciate moments. It teaches you so much about yourself. So most importantly, I really want you guys to be encouraged, and again, stand strong in yourself. Believe in yourself. Everything that you go through is going to serve your higher purpose. And if I went through this journey just to sit here and to share it with you, and to help one person not feel alone, then hey, it was worth it. It was worth it. So anyway, next time I will be sharing with you guys the actual coiling procedure, how that went down, how it did not happen, why it did not happen, and I also wanted to show everybody something. I'm kind of into astrology. I'm a Libra, and what was interesting is that every neurologist or neuro specialist that I saw always drew the aneurysms like this. And this is the sign that represents a Libra. Coincidence. If anybody knows anything about this correlation, which I think is, I mean, actually, I don't believe in coincidences, but if anybody has anything to add about that, that would be great. But it really trips me out. So anyway, everybody stay strong, keep the power. Please like, share, subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so that you can get you can be alerted as soon as I upload a new video. And any love offerings are very, very much so appreciated, humbly appreciated, and they can be sent to via my PayPal account, which is in the description box below. I look forward to talking to you guys again, and thank you, YouTube, for your support, and thank you for being patient with me because I don't always tell a story all that well. So I'll see you guys next time. I'll try to come back more often, and anyway, I look forward to this journey with you guys, my journey to freedom. You get to see my journey to freedom. You get to hear my journey to freedom. I'm a cornball, but you guys are going to be going down that journey of freedom as well. Or you may be helping somebody go down that journey of freedom. God bless, guys. I'll talk to you soon.